Hi, Gabe Ets-Hokin with www.gabeunchained.blogspot.com. I ride motorcycles so you don't have to. You can also find me on the web at www.citybike.com, editor-in-chief for City Bike magazine, and I get to ride motorcycles. So, what I rode yesterday and this morning is the 2010 Kawasaki Z1000. So this is Kawasaki's updated and upgraded Z1000. You're probably familiar with that model. And it's the same basic formula, liquid-cooled, inline 4, heavyweight standard. But this is the difference. Kawasaki doesn't want to call this a standard. They don't want to call it, Kawasaki doesn't want to call it a sport bike. It's something in between. And how it came to the United States is kind of an interesting story. Carl Edmondson is one of Kawasaki's product planners. And so the story he told us a couple nights ago, was that Kawasaki Heavy Industries in Japan wanted them to have this model, and they said they weren't interested because based on the previous sales performance of large standard motorcycles like this, they figured it'd be a hard sell, especially in a tough economy like it is now. And then Kawasaki invited them to Japan to ride the bike at Kawasaki's racetrack, and they were very, very impressed. So, and why is that? Well, I guess Kawasaki's product planners and engineers are hooligans. They want a big, fast, comfortable, good-handling sport bike for the street. So, it's not a sport bike, it's not a standard, it's like the ultimate kind of street hooligans play bike, okay? And so this is how Kawasaki did it. They have an all-new frame, and this frame is dedicated to the Z1000. It's aluminum, it's twin spar, it's sport bike-ish. The engine is a all-new engine. It's not the old Z1000 engine. It's not the ZX10 motor, tuned for mid-range. This is an all-new motor for this bike from the ground up. And as you can see, it's a pretty compact unit. There's a lot of air there behind the bank of cylinders, and so you have an aluminum frame, an all-new motor that's very compact. And what that gets you is a bike that's fueled up is about 480 pounds, which, is very favorable weight in its class. It's only about 10 or 15 pounds heavier than Ducati Street Fighter. And at the back wheel, you're probably looking at something about 120 to 125 horsepower. But numbers don't tell the whole story. This bike is very easy to ride. It handles nicely. It's very stable. These big, wide handlebars make it go through corners really, really nicely. It's very easy to steer. It feels very light. It does have some disadvantages. It's not all sunshines and lollipops. The fueling off idle. So if you close the throttle and then open it, you'll get you'll get an abrupt little jerk as the fuel injection comes back on. And that makes it difficult to ride at low speeds. And of course that was heightened by the conditions here in Cambria, California, where the model introduction was, where the roads, beautiful, wonderful roads, but sadly they were wet and slippery and covered with mud and animal poop and falling rocks and all kinds of turkeys and all kinds of other stuff. So let's talk more about some of the features on this bike. Aluminum swing arm, eccentric adjuster, which they didn't talk about, which is interesting. As you adjust your chain, you're going to change your motorcycle steering geometry. Also, you have 4-piston radial mount calipers, 2 of them, with the pedal-style rotor. That's kind of Kawasaki trademark now. The front forks are the front fork is completely adjustable. Rebound, preload, and compression damping is all adjustable. The rear shock is this new swing arm, the new linkage, which is like the Kawasaki, what they call it, Unitrack, but it's actually kind of flipped upside down. So you have a different kind of suspension. Makes it easier to get to that threaded lock nut preload adjuster there, and then this is adjustable for rebound. So this is a motorcycle that's designed for people who know what they're doing, who know how to handle 125, 130 horsepower, who are comfortable with a 480-pound motorcycle, who are experienced riders but want something that's comfortable. The seat is low and not a long reach to the ground. I'm 5'6", and I could flat-foot it comfortably. The bars are very high and nicely placed, and of course you don't like the way the handlebars are, it's easy to just swap out the handlebar for a different bend, different height. Whatever you want. The tank is steel for your magnetic tank bags. The tank is high though. It's as high as it looks, and even though when you sit on the bike it doesn't feel that big, you do feel the bike's, you do feel kind of a higher center of gravity. So it's kind of a very traditional Kawasaki feel, and you know what, if you were raised on maybe the Kawasaki Z1 or maybe a KZ650 or you know, Kawasaki has a tradition of building big powerful street bikes, I think you're going to like this motorcycle a lot. I did. I had a great time. You know, hopefully the fueling glitch can be worked out with some tuning, maybe with a different throttle tube, or, you know, I'm sure there's things you can do for that. And this would be a motorcycle that you could just ride and do track days, or you could tour on it, or you could ride it to work, just like in the old days when you bought one motorcycle to do everything. And this might be your bike. So pricing is about $10,500. They got this color scheme, and they have a black and silver color scheme. I like this bike. It's not a perfect bike, and it might not be the bike that defines a new category and draws in, you know, thousands of buyers to the big standard or whatever you want to call it category, but it's a big improvement over the old Z1000, and if you rode this bike you might want one. So this is Gabe Ets-Hokin, GabeUnchained.com, and thanks for watching. And no, I'm not gay.